Hi, my name is Danielle Madras, and this is my week 4 presentation on elephant toothpaste. To begin this experiment, we need some supplies. The first thing to start off with is hydrogen peroxide. Unfortunately, at the store, I could find nothing greater than 3%, so I used 3% hydrogen peroxide for this experiment. Just regular old dish soap, a package of yeast, some warm water, food coloring. I used a plastic water bottle as my vessel, and then you're going to want somewhere that has easy cleanup, as this experiment will make a very, very large mess. The first step in this experiment is to create our hydrogen peroxide mixture. So we're going to add half a cup of that 3% hydrogen peroxide into the water bottle. I did that via a funnel. Then I'm going to add a few drops. I did about 3 to 4 drops of the liquid dish soap, and then a few drops of food coloring as well. I chose red and blue as my food coloring, and I kind of ran the food coloring down the sides of the bottle, as you can see here, just to see if I could get kind of a really stripy mixture of my foam and my elephant toothpaste. Step 2 is going to be creating our yeast mixture, and this yeast mixture is going to be the catalyst in our experiment. So to do this, we take 1 tablespoon of yeast and combine it with 3 tablespoons of some warm water, and stir that together for 30 seconds, really until all that yeast is kind of dissolved and you've got that like milky brown mixture that you can see in the picture here. So to create this reaction, we are going to take our catalyst, our yeast water mixture, and pour that into our hydrogen peroxide and soap mixture here. I did this in my bathtub because I figured that would be a pretty easy place to clean this mess up, as it is going to create a lot of foam. And the reaction that's kind of happening here is the hydrogen peroxide itself is going to break down and turn into oxygen and then water. This process typically goes pretty slowly, but to make that reaction go faster, we're adding our catalyst, which is the yeast here. And the yeast itself actually contains catalase, and that actually is going to help break down that hydrogen peroxide more quickly, and exposes the rest of all the living things in there to that oxygen, which breaks them down more naturally than just regular hydrogen peroxide breaking down on itself. So in conclusion, and as you can see here in the picture, once those two reactants got mixed together and the catalyst got added, you get this nice giant pile of foam, and I have some fun stripy red and blue elephant toothpaste. So what happens with the liquid dish soap here is that, again, as we mix the yeast and the hydrogen peroxide together, they rapidly break down into a water and oxygen combination. That oxygen forms the bubbles, and those bubbles want to kind of escape out of the top of that bottle and get away from the liquid, and start popping normally pretty quickly. But by adding the dish soap, we're actually adding in additional surface tension, which allows those bubbles to kind of stay trapped inside that bottle, and then it actually creates a lot of foam, as you can see here from the picture. We get the giant elephant toothpaste. This reaction will continue as long as there is still some hydrogen peroxide and yeast left in the bottle that are continuing to react and break down, like I said, creating the oxygen and water and then making the foam. Once that stops, you know that the reaction has finished and the hydrogen peroxide and yeast have stopped reacting together, and the foam will stop shooting out of your bottle. I did this on a pretty small scale with the amounts that I used, but I did see some videos on YouTube where people were doing this like in their backyard, and their whole entire backyard was full of this elephant toothpaste foam, from doing this on a much larger scale. So that was pretty cool.